addition to backyards, where else can people grow food within the city? Well, let's look at these things. And the question is, are all these pretty looking shrubs? I mean, would you plant this one or this one or this one in your yard? Most people say this one is the coolest, simply because it's a blue color, which is not as common here for the shrubs. Personally, I like this one. It's got the most flowers on it, and white is kind of a cool color. But I would plant any of those in my backyard. In fact, I have planted that in my backyard. Why do I say that one? Because from that shrub, I got 9 gallons of these things, sour cherries, developed here at the University of Saskatchewan. 9 gallons of very, very tasty cherries from that plant. That's edible landscaping. Edible landscaping is an example of urban agriculture. It's landscaping, creating something that's beautiful that is using plants that are edible. Edible landscaping. If you don't want those sour cherries, you can go for the haskaps, you can go for the sand cherries, you can go for Saskatoon berries, or you can go for Nanking cherries. These guys here. All of these things grow here quite nicely, and they're all edible fruits. And they look nice, the plants look nice. That's edible landscaping. Here at the university, on the south side of the agriculture building, is this bed, the shrub border bed. Everything in here is edible. We've got haskaps. Right here are haskaps. There's apple trees over here. These tall ones are apples. There are sour cherries in here. There's grapes right about here. Those are grapes. There are currants over, these ones are currants. And there's a bunch of hazelnuts in there as well. Everything in that bed is nice looking, and it produces something that's edible. That's edible landscaping. If you're living in the older area of town, of the city itself, often you'll find that there's a pretty tree in your front yard. This is a city tree. These are flowering crab apples. They look beautiful. They're pink. So my question to you is this one, the white one, also a pretty looking tree? Would you plant that in your front yard instead of the pink ones? Well, I would. I think the white one's kind of nice looking too. Why? That's an apple tree. The University of Saskatchewan has an apple breeding program we've had for almost 100 years. If you live in the older area, there's kind of 10 streets, 10 houses on this side of the street, 10 houses on that side of the street. So 20 houses on the block. On average, you should get at least, at minimum, 50 pounds of apples per tree. So if the city planted, if this one block of 20 houses planted one apple tree per yard, that block could produce 1,000 pounds or more of apples. And that's only one block in the city, one block of houses in the city. I put this in here because this is one of our cultivars produced at the University of Saskatchewan. Notice 10 inches to 13, that's a 3-inch diameter apple that tastes really, really good. We've done taste panels. We've compared what we produced here with what is available on the market, and our stuff ranks higher. Just go to this website, this guy right here, and you can find a list of all our cultivars that we produce here that are hardy, that are good tasting apples. So you can use edible landscaping in your front yard to produce the apples. I work with groups, we harvest the apples, sometimes we make apple pies and sell them, sometimes we just take the apples and we press them. And from here, you get apple juice. There are a couple operations in Saskatchewan where they're just growing apples and juicing them and selling apple juice, which is so much better than that yellow stuff you buy in containers. The real apple juice tastes amazing. So, I mean, there's different ways of using the apples as well. So, You've learned that many trees and shrubs look pretty and they also produce food. You can also, though, grow vegetables which are ornamental, because lots of vegetables actually look pretty and you can eat them. You can grow them vegetables in flower beds, in pots. You can use vegetables and flowers in combination to each other. There's lots of ways you can do that. Here's an example. Here's a flower bed, and notice these purple ones right down the middle here. Those purple ones are going to be consumed. We're going to eat all these purple guys right down the middle here. This one right right there. Those are going to be eaten because that's flowering kale. It's a kale that's edible. Here is another example from the Maritimes where they put vegetables and herbs in containers on the street. So when you plug your meter, you can just grab a cucumber, grab some basil, grab some herbs, grab some kale, and have for supper. So they're using edible landscaping and using vegetables. They're green plants, they look great, or different colored plants, they look great. Okay, here's the question. This is a flower bed. How many plants in here are vegetables, and how many are just straight ornamentals? Well, most of you recognize cabbages. Yes, there's cabbages, but that purple stuff is kale, that's edible. There's more kale right over here, that's edible. All these red things down here, those are all hot peppers, flowering peppers. And then we've got, there's a bunch of chard back up in the corner here. There's edible, and then we've got beets down in here in the front. So lots of these plants in this bed look nice, and you can eat these things. Again, it's an example of urban agriculture growing crops in the city, an example of edible landscaping.